let's get ready to rumble. Yeah, there we go. So we are live once again, and yeah, today we're hopefully gonna have lots of fun. I hope. Yesterday we got a lot of work done. Like this huge a pile of backgrounds. Like that was just insane. But I liked it. That was a lot of good work, troubleshooting, and coming up with different things and ideas. Lots to build on in the future, and I'm really looking forward to getting this fleshed out. That's definitely gonna be fun. That's for sure. Um, so we were looking at something along lines with yes, there it is. Servants, henchmen, followers, familiars, and pets. So we got that up yesterday, and I was like, okay, sounds interesting, but this is gonna need an entire system of itself. And just as we're gonna return to the economics part and flesh that out a lot more, because I actually want to have rules for owning different types of houses, what they cost in upkeep and stuff like that. So we're definitely also gonna have that included, and that's gonna affect the what's it called? The inheritance cards and stuff like that. So, anyways, I digress. So let's look at this, right? Servants, henchmen, stuff like that, and so the idea is servants, they do like menial stuff for you, cleaning and things like that. You pay them, they go to work, and then they leave, right? Henchmen, they're more like, hey, hired muscles and stuff for sale with money. Followers are loyal people to you who follow you because they want to. They might still get paid and stuff, but they do it because they like you for who you are. Familiars are magical creatures bonded to you and stuff. And then there, of course, is pets, trained pets and stuff, like dogs and cats, that are not familiars but trained pets. Wolves, maybe even, I don't know, bears. Especially for druids and rangers, that's gonna be a biggie. So that's gonna need to have a lot of rules. So we're not gonna do all of it right now. We're just gonna dig in and try and define it a little bit. Sweet coffee. So let's take a look, right? We need something, right? So servants. How do we do that? Well, let's see here. So servants, they get hired, and yeah, there's not really a limit as to how many servants you can hire or anything. It's more like what would they do for you, right? So the question should be, would they have much impact on the fighting gameplay? They won't, right? But they can have an impact on your role playing in itself. So I kind of like the idea of having them available. Like for a rich guy, why would he go to the local potion store, right? He can just tell a servant, hey, go buy that thing from that store. And that's his form of role playing. He will role play with the servant, and the servant will probably ask, like, so what should I get? And what's my top prize? And stuff like that, right? He will get that information, then he will come back and surprise the player. What a player might still prefer to go for himself, but then he won't be owning that many servants if you don't need them, right? So it's more of a role-playing perspective, I guess, having servants. Let's sharpen this for a moment. Boom. Okay, so let's see here. So servants. Cleaning. I mean, imagine being on an adventure, right? You're riding out in the woods towards a dungeon and stuff, and the rich guy has a servant with him. he's cooking food either for him or for the entire party, right? That's gonna spice things up a bit. So cleaning, cooking. What else can we have? Shopping. Shopping. Messages. So what else could we see a servant do, right? So cleaning, cooking, shopping, messages, serving, of course. Though technique, wow, yeah. Guess you could. Like those are the important ones, right? Housekeeper. Well, no. So the cleaning is like cleaning the house, and then we need the groundskeeper. Right? Because he's the one that takes care of the garden and stuff like that. So that's definitely a thing to be aware of as well. Just check my sound. Sounds good. Perfect. So those are the kind of things that I see servants do that can have a good impact on gameplay, right? So what else? Let's see here. That's probably let's stick with that for now, right? There, and then we go over to henchmen. And let's see here. So henchmen are more like paid thugs, right? Paid thugs. So they're more doing fighting. They can still do messages, I guess. Like go out there and tell this to that guy, right? Especially when you need the messengers to be more like intimidating and stuff. So that's probably pretty good. What else can you use a good henchman for? Like, I know you would want to, but what would he want to do, right? He's working for you only because of money, right? And he's been hired for very specific purposes, right? He's been hired to beat people up, fight, messages, bodyguard service. So those kind of things, I guess. Scouting. Like I could see a party hiring a scout henchman like right ahead, and let us know if anything happens. If not, just stay out there and keep scouting and see if you see any surprises. Things like that, I guess. Yeah, not really sure if there's much else that could be looked at. That's a good question. Like, what else could be done? And of course, we got followers. And they, of course, they are loyal. And they depend on your reputation and your charisma. Right? And part payment. Of course, because people can't work for free just because they like you. Of course, it can happen, so that's why it's like on the low side, right? So let's see. There are fewer numbers, that's for sure. Because unless you are really, really amazing, you're not going to have many followers. You might attract one or two or something here and there, but yeah, it's going to be low. That's going to be late games. probably not going to start with that. That's at least my thinking. But let's see what happens, right? And then we got the familiars. That's magic bound pets. Special abilities, that's for sure. So we got stuff like what? Cats, rats, owls, normal birds, kind of thing. Bound. Should we do small pets or just pets in general? So you could have a dog, that's your familiar as well. That's a good question. We could do small pets, so people can't have attack dogs being their familiars, right? Mountain pets. So then we can still have the small dogs that are not really any threat to anything, which is kind of what I like. I mean, it would be cute having a little dog running around after you, right? So, and we're expanding this list once later on. We will get a lot of extra stuff. So yeah, but I'm thinking definitely some of the special abilities that you should have is like see-through eyes. See-through eyes. And then what? Spell delivery? Should we do that? Spell target. Touch thing. Maybe. Let's see. Spell delivery, touch, and things like that. Yeah, should probably work. And then, and we'll find out more as well later on. This is still just the initial thing. And then we got pets. Pets. Trained animals. Trained animals. So in general, people can like have dogs and cats and stuff like that. And then special trained animals. Normal, and those are for everyone. Special, that's for rangers, druids, and things like that, right? And perhaps even a talent, a special talent. Special talent as well, right? So everyone can like own a dog because it's been trained and it's easily, and it's like standard. It's been bred to be easy to train for everyone and be loyal to humans. So that's one reason why it's available for everyone, right? But the others, so we have like dogs. I wouldn't exactly, well, cats can be trained, of course, but it's like dogs, cats, what else? Pigs? Yeah, let's get pigs. And because I'm me, ducks. I mean, who wouldn't want a pet duck? I know I would. I would want a pet duck. So funny. What else do we have? Oh, let me see. What can we figure out here? Oh, well, we'll add to the list, right? So specials, we'll do things like bears, wolves, something. I can't ever spell that. Sometimes they confuse me. But anyways, wolves, bears, wolves. What else would we find for interesting pets for them? Tigers. Tiger, lion. Some exotic animal, that's for sure. Jaguar. What else can we have? Eagle. Or bigger prey, birds of prey. Let's just type bird of prey, right? Bird of prey. Well, some, I guess you could argue they could be used by normal people, but they require a trainer that trains them extensively and keeps them trained as well. So no, not really. Second, if you're talking about here, that's ducks and pigs and cats and tiger, lion, jaguar, bird of prey. So I don't know if that's helping some. So no dragon. Sorry. So yeah. So let's see. Yeah. So let's start with this. This is the general thing, right? So now we know we need special things for druids. Special talent. Let's just do that. So we definitely need to develop that, right? So let's see. Should we do directly animal handling? That's definitely a feat, I guess. Feet. Animal affinity, I guess. Animal affinity. For special pets. So like that, right? So that definitely added to the list of feats. So we definitely need to get that in. Boom. Okay. So that takes care of that one. So now we got a little bit of idea of what to do with these things. And all of this can come in later. Now we know we got the idea running. And I don't know really which pile to put them in for now, so let's leave that somewhere. Oh, what was I thinking? Oh, there was something. Something that naturally follow along. Dang it. I hate it when I forget that. Well, I guess we could start working on feats then. Right. So let's see here. So we got... definitely not going into that anymore. So we got some things here. Fast reactions, and we need a lot more. So yeah, let me just put on some coffee, and we'll continue. So let's see, I have that. Haha! Who needs technology when you have this, right? So let's look into feats for a moment. So I think I can do something like that. So yeah, let's get into it. So we got ambidextrous, that is needed to be better at dual wielding. In this case, it will know all main hand and offhand requirements. So with the system I've set up, there's a main hand and offhand, or just any hand and stuff requirements on gear. And this one allows you to actually ignore those. Dual wielding is needed for fighting with two weapons, of course. And you can put more weapons into hands and stuff. So if you're ambidextrous, that gives you just more choices, right? Reach is a feat, but it can't be bought. It has to come with either your weapon or your size. So that's the general idea. Fast reaction gets plus 10 speed to all attacks. Not sure how to implement that exactly, and if the value stays, but we'll work that out at some point. And then, of course, we got some heightened senses. Basically, it's gonna allow you to hear better, smell better, and stuff like that. Need to figure out, like, it's probably gonna give a plus to something. Then we got the vision types. We got night vision. We got dark vision, so you can see in full dark. And then we got tremor sense, so you can actually feel the ground moving and people moving around it and stuff like that. And some races will have some of these and stuff like that. And yeah, they can't be bought. They have to be gotten through things. But it's still a thing that helps define your character, right? So when you get a dwarf, and the dwarf have tremor sense, well, then you have the, let me see if I can find it. Dwarf, there. So then you would perhaps put down your character sheet like this. So you see dwarf and then tremor sense, right? So you know immediately at a glance, oh yeah, I got that. And that's the general idea behind all of this, how it's working. So yeah, let's see if we can get it to work well. Boom, 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 boom. So anyways, more feats. We need to come up with more feats. So let's see here. What can we come up with? Right? Because we can probably come up with something interesting. So we got some visions. We got some heightened senses. What else can we think of? Let's see. So we got ambidextrous, dual wielding, animal affinity, fast reaction. Got the reach thing. Yeah, what else can we do? Feats, right? So I guess we could do acrobatics thing as a sort of a, but that's more of a skill, right? Well, I guess you can argue dual wielding is a skill too, anyways, right? Yeah, that's a good question when actually you say it like that. Like, dual wielding is a skill. You practice it more and you get better at dual wielding, right? But it's also, for some people, it's more of an innate ability, I guess, because you're easily coordinated like that. But it can be trained, right? Like drummers. Man, good question. Let me mull that over while I get my coffee. Okay. Let's get ready to rumble. Yoink. Okay, so we need more feats. That's probably be smarter if I was like looking up at different books and stuff and getting ideas from there. But I guess not. So, not today at least. Let's see here. What kind of feats do we have? So, if we go back to the barbarian, right? He's got his rage. That's definitely a feat. So, let's see. Rage. And it's a feat. And it cannot be boss. So, not the. Guess I should write that on most of them, right? So we got his rage ability. What else can we figure out, right? Let's see. So that's his special thing. We'll come up with a lot more later on, I guess, when we flesh it out for sure. Right now we're just doing the overall things. So let's see. This barbarian thief have anything special? I don't know. Like that would be considered a feat. That's a good question. Not really, right? Like what does really make the thief a thief? The skill is standard in most games. Is just a skill, right? So everyone can buy it. He gets it cheaper, easier, but that's about it. So do he even have anything you would call defining feats? Whew, hot coffee. Yeah, that is actually a good question. What would be considered that? Yeah, can't really think of anything right now. Okay, let's go to the paladin. Well, the paladin, of course, has to have lay on hands, right? Or should he? I mean, do he need to have lay on hands to be a paladin? I mean, he still gets to wear armor, he gets to cast clerical spells. Not sure he needs to have lay on hands, actually. Yeah, where did that ability actually start, right? Did that start in Dungeons and Dragons? Did it start in some other story or something? That's actually a good question. Yeah, it doesn't really need lay on hands. But I guess you could say, like, if you are a paladin, right, you get access to divine magic, and that's in itself is a feat. Yeah, you could definitely argue that, I guess. Right? Let's let's see how that works, right? Divine magic. Access to the divine magic. Yeah, guess that'll work for now, right? So that means if I make my character the warlock or whatever, well, maybe not warlock, but paladin, right? And I will have this below. I know that I'm using divine magic. So I keep that power word because I think that's an important part of the paladin. So it would be a good thing to have out there on the character building. Well, let's go with it and see how it works, right? Let's make one for each of the things. So let's see, arcane magic. Magic, and that's a feat. Let's access to the arcane magic. Boom, like that. And then we have nature magic, I guess. What should we call it? Gaia? That's a good question, actually. So, druids, they do not draw from divine magic in this setup here. So, they draw from Mother Nature. So it's nature magic. So should I call it Gaia magic or something like that? Earth magic? That's kind of rude, but... So, Earth or Gaia, right? What would sound better? That's a good question. Earth or Gaia? Do we have other words for Gaia? That's... Well, let's call it Gaia magic for now, right? Or Earth magic. Slash Gaia magic. Feats. Get access to magic. There we go. So now we got those three. That's definitely gonna be helping out. We got those kind of magic. We need one for demonic magic. Demonic infernal. Yeah, what should we call that, right? That's a good question. So let's see, we got warlocks. We got, who else? Mentalist. Oh yeah, we need that. Wizard, yeah. So we need 2 more types. So let's call that infernal, I guess. Infernal magic. Not to confuse with the band Infernal. Good. This is 2 infernal magic. That's a feat. Boom. And then the last one. So that's the mental magic, right? And we'll label them all magic because in general that's kind of like how it is. It makes it easier to merge them together if they're all called magic in some way, right? They just manifest differently. To mental magic, it's a feat. Boom. So now we got all the magic classes. That should help out a bit. So you would get this on top of the classes, I guess. We can pull them out anyways, because we have another way of showing what people know. and that's basically like you get the skills, right? Arcane spellcasting, bladed fighting, archery, divine spellcasting, and stuff like that. And then you buy those up in levels, and those are what defines what your expertise is. So, like, you can be a high level wizard, but you can actually not necessarily be the strongest spellcaster. That's up to you how high you buy it as well. So you can like do all sorts of things. So that's the general idea behind the skills, right? And that allows you to, and the skills comes with like a novice rating here, and I believe I have 8 tiers or something. So that would help you see where you are compared to others. And that basically just defines if you are equal, if he's better, or you're stronger, and stuff like that. So that's the way it works. Hot coffee. So, more feats. What can we come up with? Right. So those are magic types. What else can we do? Let's see. So we can do what? Good question. I am totally blocked right now. Maybe I should switch to skills instead. But let's get a few more feats in, right? So what else can we think of without going deep into classes? I mean, there's gonna drop a lot of feats once we define the classes more and start looking at the other books for inspiration and things like that. Yeah. Movement speed. Improved movement. Or improved speed, right? What should we call that? Because, like, let's say we got the Centaur, right? Or Centaur, depending on how you want to pronounce it. They got 4 legs, and they're a horse breed, so they can move fast when they start going, right? So how do we define that? I mean, you can have a movement speed on the race thing, which we should probably have. But what else can that allow you besides that? So let's see, we got the Centaur, right? He can probably ride a long way and pretty fast. So we can do improved travel speed. You can do double the normal travel distance a day. Or we can just do, well, that's technically not a feat then. So the players own horses, they ride, they got a travel speed. The players don't own horses, they travel slower because they don't have horses. But their travel speed changes depending on what they have. So that's technically not a feat. It's technically just a changeable thing that comes with owning a horse or a wagon or something like that. So movement speeds, so we got at least 3 movement speeds, right? Travel speeds. Travel speed 1, travel speed 2, travel speed 3, right? So let's look at it. Travel speed foot. Let's do that. Travel speed foot. Travel speed wagon. Travel speed horse. All right. I simplified them a little bit or something. Um, so how do we define that? Like a wagon, it's not really faster than walking. I'd say that's probably equal to walking. But you can carry more and you get less tired and stuff like that. It might actually be slower than on foot, right? Unless it's a carriage, then it's a lot faster. Like take the westerns and stuff like that. So we're gonna have a shit ton of nuances, right? So let's see here. Speed carriage there, and travel speed fast horse. Speed fast horse. Okay, so now we got lots of travel speeds. Boom. So that's definitely something we need to be aware of, right? So is the carriage faster than a horse? Yeah. Or would it be? Would it be equal to? That's a good question, right? How fast were carriages? Like, they were pretty fast, but you can also, well, I guess that's still slower, right? So should we go like that, or should we do wagon slower than foot? That is a good question. Would we do that? Right. Slowest form of transportation, next speediest, next speediest, next speediest, and most speediest. I guess we could do that, right? I guess that could work out. Yeah, cheers. Take some coffee. Okay. So we got travel speed, right? So if we say that travel speed wagon is 2, and that, the reason why I'm saying that it's a 2, that allows us to have it for really slow people. So you can travel like at a speed of 1, right? So we could say like travel speed 2, that would be 3, that would be 4, 5, and 6. So then we have something to state people. So the standard centaur would always have a travel speed of 5 unless they are forced slower, right? And that's where like being overweight or other things comes in. I kind of like that idea. But it makes it easy to see like how far can I walk today. Like I got this, and with the map I'm planning on making, it should be relatively easy to see like how far can I go. We're probably gonna change some of these values at some point, but for now I guess that could be doable, right? Travel speed horse. So let's real quickly find our races here. So let's see. So we got the centaur, right? He doesn't get reach even though he's a large size, but he does get travel speed horse. So let's write that down. Get travel speed horse. Boom. There we go. So that's a standard speed for him. I kind of like that idea. We just need to figure out how to make it more impactful on the game, because definitely needs to have lots of role-playing impact. Like saying you have high travel speed, that's pretty good. Instead of saying, oh yeah, I can ride 5 miles an hour or whatever. That doesn't necessarily mean much to people all the time. But a travel speed of 5 out of a total of 6, that's pretty fast, right? So that gives you something. Or travel speed of a horse. more likely. So yeah, let's stash those with some of the other things, with the henchmen and other stuff we did there, and let's keep working on these things. That's okay. Still no bad sound, so we keep going. That was the speed thing. So not a feat. What else do you get? It doesn't get reach. Cold immunity, I guess, or I mean, horses can. They have pretty thick skin. They don't need clothes and stuff, except when it's really cold. So I guess they have partly cold immunity thing. Like just a bit, at least more than we have, right? So how do you implement that? Like they can take lower temperatures before it gets bad. Yeah, how do you? So either you do immunity to damage from cold, or you may be allowing them to ignore cold until -5, -10, stuff like that. That's more of a role-playing thing. It's not much of a ability that helps you in the game itself. How do we go about that, right? So let's see. We got someone who can take low temperatures. We're not talking about tauntauns and stuff like that. That's like extreme cold temperatures, polar bears and stuff. We're talking about players, right? So how does that express itself? If you are a race that does not necessarily have to wear much clothes. But the top part does need to wear it anyway, so I guess I don't need to do anything. The golem, on the other hand, say you make a stone golem, right? I guess he would have some immunities to cold or heat or whatever elements he's made of, right? So he's like steel, he's like, yeah, unless it's like insanely hot, I don't really care. That's a good question. So would that be immunities, or would that be, yeah? That's a good question. I guess it would fall under the feat, right? So let's make one. Let's make not cold immunity, but let's make yeah. What's it called? What is it called? Not cold immunity, but cold. Ah. Cold protection? No, not that. What else can it be called? Cold. Cold. Why can't I come up with that word right now? So annoying. Cold defense? Could I call it that? Cold protection. Yeah, what can I call it? What can I call it? Cold what? Cold. Let's just start with cold protection or something. guess we could make like a cold scale. So like it's on there on the cold scale. So we have, oh yeah, let's make weather a thing. So here's what I'm thinking, right? Weather. So you can put in like heat, and then like heat 1, heat 2, heat 3, heat 4, heat 5, and then have them define what they are, right? And the same thing with colds. Boom. Right? So if we say things like, it's probably going to need a bigger sheet than this, so let's try this. Boom. Weather. So let's see. Heat 1, heat 2, heat 3, heat 4, and heat 5. And same thing with cold. So it's either hot or cold. It's not normally between, right? I guess you could, if it's above 0, it's hot. If it's below 0, it's cold. If it's 0, it's cold. So cold 1, cold 2, cold 3, cold 4, and cold 5, right? So heat 1 is low heat. So we're saying like 1 to what? 14 Celsius, right? This is not warm for people. Or we could do heat 1 is basically like, yeah, humans can live here with little clothes on. But that's kind of what we're doing here, right? With some clothes on, you can easily survive that. Right. So this cold 1 is winter clothes. You definitely need winter clothes, right? 0 to minus what? 20, I guess. Minus 15, 20, something like that. Just do easy 20. Minus 20 to minus what? 40? Something like that. Similar, right? So this is heat 2 is more like, oh yeah, you can run around in little clothes. Clothes. This is heat wave. Heat wave. Heat 4 is more like, drying out. Drying out, and this is like melting, right? So this one is winter clothes. Clothes. This is Arctic. Arctic. And below that, it's just gonna get colder and colder. So let's not focus on those because they are basically like, yeah, unless you got extreme magical protection and stuff, you're probably gonna die in anything like that. So if we have an easy cold track, right, or in heat track, whereas people know, okay, if I'm in heat 1, I have to wear clothes so not get cold. If I'm in heat 2, I don't need to wear much, and if I wear much, I'm gonna get hot, right? So that's suddenly gonna become a thing that people need to look out for, like what kind of clothing am I wearing depending on where is the heat scale. So the GM don't necessarily need to set the temperature, though they can, but they just need to move the scale. And same thing with weather, rainy, and stuff like that. So we need to make a little box, I guess, with all the different kind of things. So let's see. This is definitely dangerous. And anything below here is deadly. I mean, even that is deadly if you're not wearing the right clothes, but yeah, catch my drift. I mean, humans can survive in a heat wave by not doing much, and drinking lots of water. But then, if we're like some of the places on Earth where you can like dehydrate within a few hours, I believe one of the deadly deserts or something, that's like insane amount of heat. So that's what I'm thinking the 4 is, and 5 is just basically like, yeah. it's standing in molten metal or hell and stuff like that. So now, if we return to our cold protection, 1, right? That would mean you can treat cold 1 as heat 1. Or treat cold as -1. Or, because if you say like, oh yeah, this is normal temperature, this could still quickly overcome your protections, right? So like if you got a fur that allows you to withstand this kind of cold, no matter what, this is still going to be deadly. Just as deadly as it is to everyone else, right? I guess. That's a good question, actually. Like a polar bear, right? You take a polar bear, it can survive in X cold without issues. But if you double the cold, will it die just as fast as we would, or would it die slower? That's a good question. Probably die slower, but I think with the times, maybe not as much. But again, I'm not an expert, so that would be an interesting thing to figure out. So let's say cold protection, because there's a huge drop from 5 to 4, right? And if you can just negate 1 level, that means you can never end up, let's say you got heat protection 1, right? So that just means, hey, I can ignore 5, so I will never instantly melt or anything. And yeah, so that's not how it's supposed to work, right? You're still supposed to be ending up in that heat, but just allow you to ignore it for a certain time, I guess, or lower the damage taken from it. That's probably a better version, right? Lowering the damage taken from it. Yeah, because the other one is immunity. Protection and immunity is 2 different things. Yeah. Now imagine being a frost giant, right? Yeah, you got cold immunity. You can just walk around in cold 5 and be like, yeah, what are you gonna do, right? So things like that. So how should it work? So half damage, whatever that would be, or should we do a more like ignore or treat cold 1 as heat 1? That's another way to do it. That would require something else. Oh, that's a good question though. Like, how would we go about that? Yeah, how do we go about that? Bound cold projection. Yeah, but it can't be half damage from cold, because then it's just gonna be from all the tiers. That's gonna be powerful at high tiers. Um, take half damage from cold 1. That could be a version of doing it. Or just ignore the effects of cold 1. I guess that's doable. Cold protection 1, right? So let's start with that. Ignore effects from cold 1. So that does not make it that powerful. It makes it a powerful role-playing thing. Like, yeah, I can be out in freezing winter and not really take damage from it because, hey, I'm thick, right? So that would be powerful. Cold protection 1. We could do a... so cold protection 1 is actually that, right? Unless we move the scale down, so cold 1 actually becomes 1 to 14. And then once it's heat, that's like, yeah, this is normal. Yeah, I think we should let's do that instead. So, so let's see, cold 1 is 0 to 14, or 1 to 14 degrees, right? And heat 1 is 15 to what, 30? 2 is like 31 to 45, etc., etc. So that way, whenever it's heat 1, hey, I don't really have to care about what I wear. Cold 1, I have to care about what I wear. Yeah, I like that more. It makes it easier for people, I guess. So things like that. Values don't really matter that much. It's more of a comfort way. So 0 to minus, let's do 15 instead. Minus 16 to 40. 35, I don't know. We'll research that at some point. So this suddenly makes cold protection that you can ignore the effects of cold 1, right? So that's basically down to normal thing, or freezing. That makes more sense, feels more natural, I guess. Ignore effects of cold 1. So, cold protection 1 allows you to ignore the effects of cold 1, which is basically you need to wear clothes that cover you up fully in these degrees, right? Boom. So now we got a feat worth thing. We're kidding, because this is actually pretty good from a story perspective. It allows you to beat the cold, allows you to wear less and things like that. So you can actually get around with being very mobile in this. Now if you had cold 2, that would be extreme. Like imagine running around in freezing temperatures without a big coat and thick pants and big boots. Like you can move so much better, right? Like a happy dog running through the snow, like a Siberian husky and jumping around. Yeah, that would be perfect actually. So I like that. So heat 1 makes you happy because that allows you to basically like run around mostly natural clothing or very little clothes. Like I can usually walk around when 20, 25, so without getting cold because hey, overproduction of heat helps. So that's where people feel happy. The higher one is like, yeah, you're just wearing much little clothes. So yeah, I think we'll go with that. Boom. Okay. Da, da, da. So that's cold protection 1. Let's make a cold protection 2. Right. Protection 2. We need to find other words as well, but for now, because they don't really give you much power words, like cold protection, that's not a role-playing word, right? So we need to come up with another way of saying that. Ignore effects of code 2. That's definitely a powerful thing. And I like that. I like that a lot. That's a little bit about the weather scale. So then we need to have like things like what? Rain impact, rain, wind, effect, heat scale. Because those two can so much affect it. Like, it's raining and it's windy. Yeah, slide that one down. So, wow. Guess you can't just slide like, oh yeah, we're having this degree here, and then it's rainy and windy, and it's not gonna slide a whole lot down. It's just gonna yank, slide it down a little, but not that much. So yeah, we need to figure out something about that, I guess, at some point. So I'm thinking we need something that you like draw the weather pattern or something like that. Summer, winter, deck. Let's write that down. Season, weather, deck, cards. So you can just draw and it's like, yep, this is the weather today. I like that. That can be interesting. So you got your information about what day it is, what time of year, and yeah, that would be nice. That would be very nice. Heat scale thing. Oh man, you can make some nice things with that, I think. Anyways, that was the weather. So we got some cold protection. I guess we can put in heat protection too, but is that worth anything? Yay! You can ignore the effects of heat 1, but there's no effects on it on the human scale, right? So yeah, heat protection is not really exactly the same thing, because hey, we can sweat more. So if you have like heat 1 being standard, then it's more of a, you can ignore heat 2 or heat 3. I guess that will work, right? Being able to withstand more heat, that will help with wearing lots of heavy clothes in hot weather, because that's going to have an effect. So how do we do that? Because I want to have abilities in where you can either be trained or something to ignore heat negatives, right? So if you're wearing a lot of armor in warm weather, you're gonna suffer. And I want that in, but I also want people to be able to either have abilities or be trained to regulate their body temperature and stuff more. So I guess we can have some sort of heat protection inside. So how would that work? So let's imagine you're coming into a dungeon, right? You're wearing full heavy armor because, hey, you want to tank this thing. But it's in the middle of the summer and there's a heat wave on. are you gonna wear that armor? Right? You can maybe walk around in it a little bit, but you will be sweating. And once you start fighting, you're probably gonna be dead from from overexertion after the fight or close to it, right? Because you can't go on. That's like one shot. Um, so one ability is where you maybe can at least a little bit ignore that. So how do we do that? Do we do like? But I don't want it to be totally exploitable. So maybe like succeed on a concentration check to regulate body heat during heavy exertion. So how do we do that? I want to avoid, well, once a day, you can ignore a heat penalty. Or once per X something, right? How do we do that? Hey, go! How are you doing, man? I don't have stamina per se, but there's going to be some sort of system implemented at some point that can do it. Just haven't reached that part yet. But considering how you can stack armor and there's heat and cold and stuff, I need to have a system in that's like, yeah, you can take this much. And if you have higher sturdiness or constitution, you can stand more. So we need to have a full system set up for that at some point. So we can do heat 1 takes less, can reduce exactly. And I want a way to mitigate some of that if you're like, let's say you've been trained by, what are called, a lama or a guru or something, right? And he's trained you to how to really regulate your body heat mentally. I want that kind of ability for certain people. So I'm thinking, if you allow, you can regulate your body heat or your heat 1 scale down from X amount of heat. But that doesn't really work out well. I'd rather probably take or ignore the debilitating effect of overheating once per day or something. But that's, I guess, it's kind of defined by what the end system is going to be. So technically we can't really do it justice right now, but just want something to write down to remember it by. So let's start by writing heat protection at least. Though it's not really heat protection. Heat protection 1. So let's see here. Can withstand overheating once per day. That would give you like a more longer fighting, right? So if you're in one fight and you overheat in that fight, then you can ignore it and you can keep fighting. So you might have 2 fights or something before you overheat in that. So that's kind of the idea. So let's keep that for now. But yeah, we need to look at, I wonder if we should look at it straight away. How the overheating thing, well, can't really do much. I guess we can do a few things, right? So let's see here. So let's see here, we've got sturdy gives resistance. Heat protection helps. Heat protection, right? And less clothing. Less thing. So let's see here. So certain clothes adds to, would it add to heat or would it add to overheating? So how do we work with that, right? So if you're like wearing, it's cold one weather, you can fight a lot without overheating if you're in well conditioned and stuff. But I guess no matter what, if you're wearing lots, you can still overheat, right? So if the elements are an influence, so we need to have them have an impact, right? There's a reason why you look at the scale and see what you're wearing. So do armor clothing have a heat scale too? I guess that it would have. Yeah. I guess it would have a heat scale, right? So let's say you're wearing clothing for heat 1, and you're walking around in heat 1. You won't overheat, you won't get cold. But the moment you start fighting, you'll overheat a bit. But that would just move you up into the next scale, which is heat 2. So that's not really deadly or anything. Stages, 1 heat level equal -1 stamina. Yeah, might do that. So let's see here. So if you have heat 1, you start fighting, and you're wearing heat 1 clothes, you don't really overheat much. But you still take like what? So if we do the stamina thing, you take heat damage in stamina worth the heat level plus your clothing. But that shouldn't work until heat 2 at least, right? So we only start overheating when area around us, well, we can't get rid of our heat through sweat and stuff. Yeah, good question. How do we do that? So let's see, we have heat 1. It's normal pre-winter thing, fall weather, right? And you wear clothes, heat 1. So it doesn't really overheat much. And then we have like clothes heat 2. So heat 2, I would technically modify cold 1, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, how do we do that? How do we do that? Because that's a little bit, it's like THACO thing, right? Because that goes into the negative. If we look at this thing here, right? So technically heat 2 would cover that. But that also means that if the weather is this is going to get extremely hot. Or we need to change the system so whenever you are at 0, you have no heat, right? No, you have no overheat, you're not cold, you're not warm. You're just as is. Yeah, I'd rather keep it even more simple. I'd rather keep it to like 0, you have no effects. But if you're at like heat 1, you are overheating already just by wearing clothes, right? So we need a heat 0 or something. So how would that work, right? So let's say heat 0. That's where you want to be. Heat 1, that means you're overheating on its own. So heat 0, that's roughly what? 15 to what? 30, 35 degrees, right? So that's heat 0. That's where, hey, if you're not wearing clothes, well, depending on weather and stuff, right? No, as long as you're normal, you can usually do whatever. Have a scale, it gives you more room. Yeah, I want to keep numbers low. Like, I want to have very few things people need to remember. It has to be easy to this, which is why I'm focusing more on all sorts of things. So at most, a scale would be like this, and it would be in front of people all the time, and you'll move the slider up or something. But now I need to make the scale so it's easy to calculate your clothes. So let's say your clothes have heat 2, and you're in here in heat 0. That means you add 2 to that, which means you will take 2 heat stamina damage, right? That is easy. If you're wearing clothes heat 1 in this weather, then you would take 1 heat damage. So I guess we can do clothes heat 0 as well. That would need to be a given, of course. Then armor on top of that will allow lots of things, yeah. I think that might work. Like that, right? And then if it's like heat -1, that's the 1 to 14 degrees roughly or something like that. You could technically take slow damage, right? To stay in heat, cold, 0 range, yeah. See, the thing is, the wiggle room will come from breaks and water and stuff in shadow. So this is more of a like if you're wearing clothes. Well, I guess we could like yeah, how would that work? But yeah, you're right about the wiggle room at some point, but how do we implement that so it's easy? So the thing is, it's easy enough to stay within, right? Because you can just wear things and so forth. So you only take heat damage either when it's yeah, that's doable. Let's see here. 36 to what? 45. So you're thinking these three would have like almost no damage in itself if you're staying within those. I guess that could be doable. So this way you can wear like that and that. You'd still get drenched. Well, that would actually do heat 2, so 2 damage. Like, but the thing is, you take like a degrees from 36 to 45. Yeah, you wouldn't necessarily take damage, but if you start running a marathon in this weather, you will take damage, right? No matter how less clothing you're wearing, how much water you drink and stuff, you will get exhausted and take stamina damage. And that's kind of the thing I want to implement, that people need to take breaks. Like, you could fight and take the stamina points of damage, but then if you take a break afterwards, hey, it'll reduce the stamina again. So I want people to take the stamina damage because I can see the idea in it. Like, let's say you run into a dungeon, it's heat 1, you're wearing heat 1 clothing and probably +1 for armor, right? That means you're gonna take 3 stamina damage during the combat. But then you take a break in the dungeon, relax, drink some water and stuff like that, and suddenly you can lower that by X amount. That's kind of what I'm thinking that I would want to experience. Close the 0. So you can wear some clothes that doesn't really do anything to heat. It's going to be turn-based, like standard Dungeons and Dragons. But basically it's going to be depending on the armor and stuff that you're using. Let's see, I have it somewhere. Like you can wear some armor that gives you an insane amount of armor. Like this one I created here just for testing. Like heavy plate with full chainmail, right? But you can wear it at most for 1 hour or 10 rounds before tired, unless you're very sturdy and very strong, because that alone will up your heat thing. So we need to think about all those things. Like you can wear an insane amount of clothes, but it should have some penalties and stuff just by moving. Because I tried once wearing 20 kilos of armor in the summer. Yeah, 5 minutes of fighting, I was done for the day. And the next few days, I was done for. Like I was drained of energy. So that's the kind of thing I want in. So let's see here. So how do we get that easy, right? So you're wearing normal clothes. It gets really hot. You want that off, or else you're gonna start sweating like a pig and getting slowly drenched. But 2 points is not much, so we need to make a scale that allows 2 points to be not that much. Plenty of pickups you can apply buffs. Exactly. Basically, the current way I'm looking at the magic system with buffs and stuff is that it's gonna reset. Instead of you getting all your magic back at the end of the day, you're gonna get it back every 5 days. So that makes magic a bit more powerful, a bit more rare, but it lasts longer. Like a protection spell might last like 5 hours. And if you have energy to go for 5 hours of fighting, oh man. So it's taken more into a tactical, semi-realistic combat, which is why I want things like this. So let's say you're wearing 0 clothes or clothes 0 because it's hot. that means you'll take slowly 1 heat damage if you do strenuous things. Again, it's on the strenuous things. If you're just relaxing most of the day, it's gonna go like up, down, up, down, up, down all the time, right? Like, oh yeah, I'm taking a siesta now. Well, duk, 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 and all of that is gone. So let's see here. So armor, heat as well, and stuff like that. We need to define that at some point. Heat -1, -2, and that's like 0 to what? 15, -15. Heat -3, 60 to what? 35. Minus. So that means we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, 1, 2, 3, right? So that means close heat 3. So heat 2 will take you into survivable. Right, so if you're wearing close heat 2 and it's frozen, hey, you can easily do that. If you're here, that automatically takes you to heat. So if we go up here, and then we add 2, that takes you into heat 3 territory. I guess we could make a, what, scale thing? To heat 3. That's more of a personal heat thing, I guess. Let's say you're here wearing standard clothing, suddenly it gets really hot because you're wearing armor, you're going up here, so that shouldn't have. I guess we could make it a rising negative thing instead. I don't know. Or just a stamina thing. Yeah, let's do the standard stamina thing. So if you have 1 point, that's not much. Stamina. So let's see here. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're here fighting and stuff like that. You get some nice heat, but that's like 1 point, and you take a break or something. So that's not much. All right, you're fighting again. It's not much. Boom, and then you can take a break. So let's say the first few points don't really do much, but they start adding up. Now, if you're wearing clothes 1 with some heat on it, because it's there, right? So that takes you into there. And then you start fighting, or you're wearing armor. Armor only adds heat. Oh yeah, we need to write that down. Some armor. Some armor only adds heat on strenuous activity. Some add all the time. Okay. So some armor only adds on that, and some adds all the time. Should I then have cooldown too? Ugh. Because if you look like metal armor, right? It doesn't really keep you warm much. It helps a little bit with like wind and things, but yeah, it conducts heat pretty well. But it gets hot for a while you're fighting because you can't breathe that fast, right? Whereas full leather armor keeps you warm when not doing anything, but it definitely keeps you warm when fighting too. So, and it probably doesn't cool down as fast as the metal armor would. So I wonder if that should be an issue we should include too. That's a lot now. But I like the heat aspect of it. So, how would we go about that? Good question. Let's see. Let me just do a quick sound check too. Okay, sounds okay, I guess. So yeah, what else can we do? So we say like something along line 3 is the magical number. So if you're going for 3 in heat, let's say you are wearing armor that gives heat a lot once you're fighting, boom, that's gonna shoot up. Right. But then I can expand the stamina track unless you can like ignore 1 stamina point of damage per heat thing. I mean, that could be doable too, right? So if we keep it that way, boom, boom, that means exhausted, right? So if you're fighting small fights and you don't overheat much, boom, 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 takes a while until you get to the midway track, and then you'll start feeling effects. But if you're wearing a lot of heavy armor and it's warm, you're gonna like poof, shoot up into this. Be like, yeah, I'm done. I like that. That you have to think about like what are you wearing, occasion, and you have to plan for that part. So like, let's say you can get like lower speed, lower reaction. Lower reaction speed, worse to hit. And stuff like that, and then collapse. I like that. So we need to do this some other point as well, where we really try to do the math and things. But for now, that gives a good idea of where we want to go, right? Got different types of heat. Boom, you can take some damage. What about the negative? Because that should also have something, right? How would that work? Is that a damage track instead? Like if you're in heat negatives, because that's also going to take a toll of you. How do we work that in? So I guess anything makes stamina damage. Yeah, that's the simple way, right? Up to 3 points, up to 3 points. Cool. Yeah, I kind of like that idea, right? So that will still give you 3 points, especially if you're not wearing the clothes for it. So that's more of a, hey, I'm out there, I'm taking that kind of damage. Or hey, I'm walking around in a heat 3, I'm slowly earning points for that. And, that's a lot of stuff to work on though. So we'll need to figure that out some other day. Right now, let's move that to the side. And you as well. So we got a little bit of these done. Got the magic feats looked at. And again, we're gonna really expand this feat thing by a lot at some point. But yeah, I think I will leave that as today, and hopefully we can continue this later or tomorrow or some other day. But thank you for stopping by, everyone. I hope you enjoyed what you've been seeing, and yeah, take care out there, and thank you for watching.